Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and if the audio sounds a little different than it has in the past, that's because I'm doing my audio voiceover at a different location than I have used before. This is a change which is permanent, and so I hope it helps with the audio. Doesn't matter, sounds good or bad, whatever. Anyway, so this flight I took because as I was riding my bike earlier this morning, and I came down this road, riding this road, they were putting the trusses on top of those 3 houses, and they were on the first one when I came down. And I thought, okay, well, when I finish my ride, I'll, maybe have a bite to eat, and then I'll go fly my drone. And because they were on the first house when I went for my e-bike ride. By the time 8 or 9 o'clock came, because I do my e-bike riding about 6 in the morning, and so by the time 8 or 9 o'clock came when I would normally go fly, I took this flight and looked over there, and it was amazing that they had so much done on those houses in such a little time. So anyway, I guess they were working hard, which is a good thing. And getting more difficult for me all the time. But so I thought, okay, I'll come back and just fly around the house and tell some stories and just have a little fun flying my drone, just flying for the fun of it. So I'm coming in here, and while I'm coming in, I'll start a story about some of the shenanigans that me and my buddy committed while we were in high school, because I think I've got my life history up to high school. And so when I moved from in town out to near the Seattle-Tacoma airport, I went to Highline High School, and that's where I got involved with Youth for Christ Club. And that's where my buddy was already, he lived out there in that area. His dad worked with my dad in the same area at United Airlines, so that's how we got acquainted. And he was a Christian, and I'm a Christian, and so we got along really well. Started the Youth for Christ Club when we were transferred to the new school, which was Mount Rainier High School. And anyway, so we became good buddies, had a lot of fun, and so we had too much fun. We were like a couple of, porpoises, just bouncing around and having fun in life. And that's nothing wrong with that, except that we did do some things we shouldn't have done. One of the things, we were both respected because we were in Youth for Christ. And so they had 3 wings in this high school. It was a brand new school, and they had 3 wings, and so they didn't have enough room in the Oh, by the way, this was the day I was going to mow the lawn, but I couldn't get the lawnmower to start. And so we won't go into that right now. But anyway, so they trusted us what they had to do is stagger the lunch hours for the 3 different buildings. And so we volunteered to guard the entrances. It was a long hallway, a door at each end. And so they posted us at the doors so that we would keep other children from other kids from going in and disturbing the classes, as if we weren't going to. Anyway, there's my my granddaughter's husband's Corvette, which he finally was able to replace the motor and get everything else working. He took it to a car show the Saturday before I filmed this, and so he and my son Bruce, who rebuilt the 69 Chevy pickup, they took both of them to a car show. And so that was kind of nice. That was the day before Mother's Day. And people liked them. And so anyway, they're just getting started on that. Well, anyway, so one of the things that we decided we'd do as we were guarding the hallway is we knew that some of the kids didn't lock their lockers. And so we went down the hallway very quietly, checking the ones that were open. We found several that were open. I mean, like a dozen. So what we did is we took, oh, by the way, see that doorway? There's a slight connection between that doorway and my new recording location. But I'll have to wait and show you more about that later. So anyway, what we did was we took all the clothing and books and everything from one locker and put it in another locker. And took the stuff from that locker and put it in another locker. And so as soon as school was out, we came running over to that area because we wanted to see how funny it would be when they would go to open up their locker. And so what the typical thing was, they'd open it up, they'd see all this strange stuff, and then they'd close the door and look at the number, and sure enough, it was their locker. And so, shame on me, I shouldn't be laughing. So anyway, and I mean, this was like, a dozen or more, I suppose, different kids did that. So we thought that was pretty funny. We got on our school bus and went home. Next morning, and by the way, this new office they built had a glass front, so you could see from the hallway into the office. There's Lucy the horse, and they just kind of let her roam. They keep the main gate closed, and she goes around and mows the lawn for us, which was a good thing. So anyway, next morning we walked by the office, and there's this huge, huge pile of lost and found in the middle of the floor in the office. And don't tell anybody I told you about this, because I'm sure there's somebody still alive that remembers that happening. So that's today's story about the shenanigans, and we did a few other things we shouldn't have. I've told about some of them. Now, they let Lucy wander around, and the day before, she had been out here in this yard, and that was Mother's Day, and so they were all inside those windows on the left there at a table and celebrating, and the horse was standing outside looking in, and my daughter-in-law, she got pictures of the horse looking in the window at him. And as the horse was looking in, watching us eat, the horse did what horses do. and so they had to, they had something they had to do to take care of that. So, and they did it properly. And and by the way, I finally got to mow the lawn because my son figured out what was wrong with the lawnmower. And so I just mowed the lawn yesterday. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story. I always enjoy telling that story, and I shouldn't enjoy living. Anyway, that was one of the shenanigans that we pulled. And as I come into land, as always, I want to thank you for watching my videos, and God bless you.